Hello and welcome to another Tinto-flavored Dev Diary for the game we're all incredibly hyped about, Europa Universalis 5. Now, today we're going to be having a look at the Native Americans, and let's just say there's been a lot of back and forth on the topic of the Native Americans. At the start, all we were going to have is Cahokia and then a few tribes in the Midwest, I guess it is. I actually don't. Just the south, north of Texas area. I don't know. But there was a lot of feedback, and people didn't like that. And then they have now added the Iroquois, the Haudenosaunee tribes. So we're getting a little bit more there. And really, I think there's still a lot of people wanting more than that, because of course what we're getting is a massive amount of societies of pops and then very few playable Native American tribes. And well, I mean, it remains to be seen whether that is the correct direction or not. There is a lot of community feedback about it, but at the same time 100% of that community feedback so far hasn't played the game. So we don't really know how it is going to be played, how it is going to, pan out in the end. But let's have a look at the North American flavor Dev Diary now, and we can kind of get a hint and a bit of a taster and a teaser about how we're going to be playing for the first 150 years before we quit, because 90% of our population died to the Great Pestilence. Anyway, let's get into it and have a look. Today we're taking a look at the content for the Native Americans. As per the playable starting tags, that means that we'll be taking a look at the 5 nations that form up the Haudenosaunee Confederation, Cahokia, and the Puebloans. These are the ones that I was talking about that I couldn't remember where they were. But let's start with the common content for all Native American tags, even. Being tribals, they have access to all of the common content to all tribal countries. And there are also some content that is common to all North American tabs. For being tribal, you might have such content like advances that unlock tribal laws, with a few policies inside it. Besides that, you have content such as estate privileges for the tribesman estate, which is relevant to these types of countries. So here we have the tribal religious values, gives you a law, a tribal migration law. We have the tribal modernization law. I wonder if this one turns you into a proper country. As for being in North America, you have a bunch of different advances to the Old World ones in the first 200 years of the gameplay, designed to smooth the transition towards Old World institutions that will start spreading after making contact with them. Fantastic trade deal that we have here, right? You receive Old World institutions. You also receive just the apocalypse, really. You want your institutions, but it comes with a side of apocalypse. Kind of got to weigh that up, really, don't you? So we have Three Sisters Agriculture giving some food production, the Council of Elders giving estate satisfaction equilibrium, fur trade increasing fur output, makes sense, more food production from slash and burn agriculture, Federation Builders giving some agenda impact for your estates, it's quite nice, and the Wampun giving you some cultural tradition. Now, onto the Haudenosaunee. Our ancestors are smiling upon us, their ancestors are smiling on us. The fathers of our glorious nation, Great Peacemaker, Hiawatha, and Jigonsase, showed us that the cooperation and peace between our tribes are better than the constant squabbles of the past. Thanks to them, we've achieved more prosperity than ever before. Our neighbors, though, do not share our view of the world, will not hesitate to destroy us if given the chance. We must convince the world of our way of life, by force if necessary. So we have the clan of Onondaga here. I think that's one of the Iroquois ones. Yeah, the Haudenosaunee ones. Yep, of course. Led by, not even going to attempt it, a really good administrator. Holy balls. Very nice. 3 total. That must be 3 total locations. I keep saying 3 like towns plus, but I guess probably not. They're just 3 locations. 10,000 pops total. Very little tax base, very little military. But they do have a little bit of navy because they border, I think this is the Great Lakes. So these are sailable. A characteristic of the Haudenosaunee is that of their federation. As such, they have a special type of IO called the Tribal Confederation. This IO is available to be created for all tribes, but the Haudenosaunee already have one created at the start. which has 5 members within it. The Haudenosaunee also have some unique country interactions, allowing them to further consolidate their federation. So we can form closer bonds, gaining trust and opinion with your fellow clans. You lose 3 diplomats for that. Merging tribes. Merge your tribe with Gaogohono. Nailed that pronunciation, I'm sure. But that you just annex them, which is kind of nice. Also costs 3 diplomats. 50 stability, though, is kind of crazy. But for full annexation, is that kind of crazy? I don't know. Could be good. Once united, they can form a new common identity, the Haudenosaunee Tier 3 formable country, which means you can no longer form things like Scandinavia, but you can still form the Eastern Roman Empire. The tribes of the Haudenosaunee have long coexisted together in a united confederation, although each nation within the tribe retained its own autonomy. With the 5 nations now led by a central tribe, we can turn the page to a newly strengthened confederacy. So 12 locations from the following locations list. Another characteristic of the Haudenosaunee is their matrilineal lineage through their clan mothers. As such, they have a special heir selection allowing for leadership to pass through the female line. Very nice. Eligibility through siblings of ruler through female lines allows females to be ruler, of course. And then upon succession, you lose a little bit of tribal cohesion. Also, a unique government reform, the Haudenosaunee clan mothers, giving estate satisfaction equilibrium, some cultural tradition, and progress towards traditionalist and communalism, making 100% of sense. A unique estate privilege for the commoner's estate, giving production efficiency, which is always nice, and progress to traditional and communalism again. And some unique advances. The legacy of Hiawatha. Nailed the pronunciation probably. Giving some Diplo rep. We have fierce warriors giving infantry power. The Tree of Peace giving improved relations. Morning Wars giving army reinforcement cost. How do you pronounce a colon? Kia nere ko wa? Maybe? Either way, that gives some monthly war exhaustion, and then modal confederation giving a huge amount of improved relations. Holy. They also get some unique events like the legacy of the Great Peacemaker. Once a divided people, the Haudenosaunee Confederation came together through the works of the Great Peacemaker Deganawida, who united the once rivaling tribes into a familial union. While in the time since the founding of the Confederation, the tribes of the Haudenosaunee have remained united and coexisted, some whispers have begun to grow that a dominant tribe should emerge to serve as the principal leader. However, such a feat would risk jeopardizing the very founding principles that Deganawida founded the Haudenosaunee Confederation on. We have the Tale of Jigonsasi. Nailing these pronunciations, by the way. Passing the tale of Jigonsasi onto the next generation. Anong Sawegti. Nailed it. Recounts the impact of the Mother of Nations had on the founding of the Haudenosaunee Confederation. Upon encountering the Great Peacemaker, Jigonsasi would become one of the most important followers, ensuring the health of his followers while also serving as an important mediator between tribes. For her efforts, the Great Peacemaker awarded her title the Mother of Nations to recognize her contributions. So you gain some tribal cohesion, culture gains 15 cultural influence, and you get yourself a work of art. Very nice. The Legend of Hiawatha, hosting a local festival within Oswego, has encouraged Kiat to tell the tale of Hiawatha, one of the founding members of Haudenosaunee Confederation. Hiawatha was once a wild man who roamed the lands of Haudenosaunee until his encounter with the Great Peacemaker. Through their meeting at his cabin, the Great Peacemaker Deganawida convinced the wild man to adopt his ideas espoused by the Great Law of Peace. Seeking to now carry out the Great Peacemaker vision, Deganawida rewarded the man with the name Hiawatha and sent him out into the world to spread the promise of... I don't know. Again, some tribal cohesion and some stability, and another work of art. You can also reforge the Great Law of Peace. Gives you 20 prestige, 20 stability, and you add the Great Law of Peace government reform. Very nice. Now, on to Cahokia. This is a country that I am aware of that is kind of in a period of explosion and pretty much dying out. The town of Cahokia has developed a complex society that revolves around the exploitation of the fertile agricultural lands of the valley around it, and the ruling of the priests that have organized the construction of temples on top of it. The culture of Cahokia has also spread to the surrounding lands, structuring a vast territory. However, challenges may arise to our people. May we be able to further develop and organize our society, or shall this progress be lost and forgotten forever? So, Cahokia is ruled by Chieftain Merrimack. Awful diplomacy, really good administrator, really good military. 22 locations, 82,000 population. You start relatively large in comparison to everyone else in the New World. They have a unique building representing the unique structure of Cahokia. You get the Woodhenges. It gives you monthly research progress and progress innovativeness. This is amazing. If it's in your capital, definitely want to build that. And effects on local location, some cultural tradition, and monthly literacy. Very nice indeed. Aligned with the movement of the sun, the Woodhenge of Cahokia serves as a method of tracking solar events. We also have plenty of events for Cahokia that are largely rooted in archaeological evidence we have of the civilizations, which notably collapsed just a few decades after the game starts, although it's been on the decline for decades. The last event shown can be accomplished after having been able to reverse this decline and sets a new golden age for the people of Cahokia. So we have the sunset of Cahokia. Though Cahokia has long served as a central capital for our people, the recent centuries have brought great decline to it. Sprawling dwellings across the woodlands and large-scale construction projects have slowly faded into obscurity in recent centuries, and the main central population of Cahokia is all that remains. In recent years, as more of the population of Cahokia have taken to leaving, some have encouraged Chieftain Merrimack to officially call for mass migration to resettle elsewhere, although others feel that, with considerable effort, Cahokia's old glory can be restored. So book option, they moved on. But you may be able to stick around if you so desire. Partial rebuilding of the Woodhenge. Though largely abandoned in recent decades, within Cahokia remains one of the centres used by great minds of the past, a collection of woodhenges. Though the practice has ceased in recent times, our ancestors used a completed circle to map the direction in which the sun would rise and fall. Should we take efforts to rebuild the woodhenges, great-minded individuals may take to the practice once more. So book option, you can restore those woodhenges indeed. You also get flooding in the Cahokia woodlands, which, I mean, yeah. I imagine there'd be quite a lot of flooding in, isn't Cahokia on, the Mississippi River or close to it? I have no idea. Probably shouldn't have even brought that up, because I might just be completely wrong there. Anyway, recent shifts in the seasons have brought with them terrible rains not seen within generations, and a great flood has affected the Cahokia woodlands. Though much of inner Cahokia has been spared, the outer portions have been greatly damaged, with many of the remaining populace pointing to this event as another sign Cahokia is growing to be a less hospitable place to live. They have also got a reliance on maize. Throughout the generations of our people, maize has grown to become one of the more staple foods. However, in recent times, the people of Cahokia have grown to abandon the process of nixtamalization for maize in favor of more simple consumption, which, while easier to maintain, has severely affected the health of the population. Seeking to readopt the practice of nixtamalization for maize. I've never actually heard of the nixtamalization. I like the word. Feels fun to say, but I never heard it before. The chieftain has requested support from his inner circle to determine the viability of a return to such practice. So you can book option, you can stay unhealthy, or you can return to the nixtamalization, which clearly you should do, because, a healthy population seems reasonable. Re-emergence of Cahokian trade. The recent generation saw the growing decline of Cahokia as the main source of trade throughout the East Coast. In recent times, that decline now shifted to a gradual resurgence. Though the efforts of Chieftain Merrimack, Cahokia, with its resurging population and infrastructure projects, peoples from varying distant tribes are once again returning to Cahokia to engage in regional trade. And then, if you manage to turn around your country, you can have a new golden age. Though once thought to be believed as a town within its final days, through the efforts of Chieftain Merrimack and his followers, Cahokia now stands as a beacon of North America world. Yeah, might need a little bit of work on that one. Having entered a renewed era of innovation and stability. Though the last few generations have been a dark age for Cahokia, it has now entered a new golden era. Very nice indeed. On to the Puebloans. The days of greatness have come and gone. Our towns, once prosperous and full of life, are now nothing but a shadow of their former selves. It is as if the land itself has forsaken us. Where it used to be fertile and easy to cultivate, it's now dry and hard, making it impossible for our farmers to grow enough food for all the mouths. Is this the beginning of the end of our culture? Will we scatter to the wind like motes of dust, or will a new leader rise, someone capable of uniting our people and returning us to our former glory? I like the flag. I like the flag a lot. Turtles are cool. That's all I gotta say. So one location for the minor tribe of Okwi-Owinge, 2,000 population, tiny tax base, etc., etc. And they are located here in the mountains, mountain people. The Puebloans have access to a number of narrative events, like the Chaco Roads, like we have the place that always was. Settlements throughout Ali Shawn have been situated on cliffs. I mean, yep, makes sense there. The Pueblo of Oahu remains one of the most unique, with it being situated on an elevated mesa. Though Oahu has been met with challenges with its distinct elevated position, it's also been one of its biggest strengths, offering an extremely defensive position should people be forced into conflict. We also have Seat of Our Ancestors. We can reunite the Pueblo if you so desire. Through the efforts of Okwi, several Pueblo tribes have been brought under a single chieftain. While it's been centuries since the collapse of our ancestors' society, some see Chieftain Galisteo as a unifying figure who could once again unite the various Pueblo tribes that long since left our ancestral lands. And then they get the opportunity to form a new identity. You can form the Pueblo, a tier 2 formable, so you can then migrate up and form the Haudenosaunee, technically. And you need to own 7 locations from the following list. There is more, of course. I would be kind of upset if this was all of it, but as per usual with Tinto Flavor, you're not getting the whole shebang. And this is a dev diary that came out a little bit before, so this whole thing about Johan coming back to Tinto Talks, we've already covered that one. There are a couple of developer comments that I want to go over as well, such as this one. I would love to hear more about how the pre-Columbian societies interact with Europeans and just the Columbian exchange in general. So, there are coming 4 situations directly related to the colonization of the New World, from the Age of Discovery to the Age of Revolutions, and one more with partially related content. So we're going to get those in the end of August and the start of September. Looking forward to that. Can these tanks build hospitals, or is there a way for them to try and reduce the impact of the Great Pestilence? Very little, and it's very deadly. It'll make for a very challenging situation to face if you're playing as a Native American country. Talk more about that later this month. So we're going to be getting Great Pestilence later this month. Very much looking forward to seeing how that plays out. And finally, I'd love to hear more about... Oh, I actually have this twice. My apologies. That was the last comment. Before I go, though, I just want to say a couple of minutes before I started this video, EU5 YouTube channel released this video called The Stage is Set. It's very, very good. I've only watched the first few minutes of it. Really enjoy it. The narrator is Midgeman. I'm a big fan of his, and you should go and watch it. I'll put a link to this in the description below. But it's really cool, and you should watch it. And, you know, after this video, you click like on this one and then go to this one. Great idea. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video on the Native Americans. My question to you is, how excited are you to play Native Americans? Did you play them in EU4? Did you like them in EU4? And can you see yourself enjoying them in EU5? How much does the Great Pestilence worry you? Does it, stop you from wanting to play these tanks? I'm curious to hear your thoughts, so leave them down in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.